This could be really bad for Bubba Wallace. After the race in Chicago, he was hit with a hefty fine. NASCAR's penalty report, released this morning, shows Wallace has been fined $50,000 for his actions after the checkered flag. His post-race contact with Alex Bowman is the reason for this big penalty. Everyone is trying to understand why this decision was made. So in today's video, we'll dive deeper into the details and what it means for Wallace's future. After the race, on the cool-down lap, the 23 car pushed the 48 into the outside wall. This was revenge for an earlier incident. While racing in the top 10, Alex Bowman missed a corner and spun Bubba Wallace out. Both drivers were on the playoff bubble. Bowman was 16th and Bubba was 17th. Bubba was unhappy with Bowman, especially since Bowman won the race. Bubba Wallace finished 13th. After the race, Bubba confronted Alex Bowman. NASCAR reviewed the incident and decided to penalize Bubba Wallace. They fined him $50,000 but did not deduct any points. This fine seems steep for post-race contact. NASCAR usually overlooks minor incidents, however they are strict about safety. Spinning someone out under caution can affect the race and safety vehicles might be on the track. William Byron was fined and received a points penalty for spinning Denny Hamlin 2 years ago. Carson Hocevar also faced a fine and points penalty for spinning Harrison Burton last week, but those incidents happened under caution. In Bubba and Bowman's case, the incident happened post-race. NASCAR still took it seriously. Their decision shows they're trying to keep the sport fair and safe. It is puzzling why Bubba Wallace was fined $50,000. Is it because he put Bowman into the wall? Chase Elliott put Denny Hamlin into the wall at Martinsville a few years back. While the contact was not big, it did happen. So, was the contact between Bubba and Bowman rougher? Were they considering Bubba's history? Chase Elliott has been suspended in the last year but faced no penalty for this incident. This is confusing. The most logical reason for Bubba's $50,000 fine is that the retaliation occurred several hours after the original incident. This explanation makes some sense because it shows premeditation and a delayed reaction. It was not an impulsive act right after the incident, but something that happened later. NASCAR might have seen this as more intentional and deserving of punishment. NASCAR's decision shows they're trying to manage the sport's safety and fairness. They seem to be drawing a line between immediate reactions and delayed retaliations. Immediate reactions are sometimes overlooked, but a delayed retaliation, like in Bubba's case, seems to be taken more seriously. This fine is a reminder to drivers to control their emotions and actions even after the race. It sets a precedent that delayed acts of revenge on the track will not be tolerated. It would be helpful if Elton Sawyer or some NASCAR official could confirm the reason behind Bubba Wallace's fine. Without a clear explanation, the penalty makes no sense. NASCAR has let many similar incidents go without such harsh fines. The only reason that fits is that NASCAR did not like the seemingly premeditated nature of Bubba's action. NASCAR has shown that they do not like premeditated acts of violence. They fined Ricky Stenhouse Jr. $75,000 at North Wilkesboro for waiting a couple hours to punch Kyle Busch. So a $50,000 fine for Bubba Wallace is steep, but it's not going to make or break him. However, such a penalty might deter future drivers from showing emotion. NASCAR may need to bring back probation or some sort of warning system. In baseball, when one team hits a player and then another team hits a player, umpires issue warnings to both teams. Maybe NASCAR needs to do something similar. A $50,000 fine for Bubba Wallace when so many incidents have been let go does seem steep. Dale Earnhardt Jr. suggested a $10,000 or $15,000 fine as a warning. That would have made more sense and served as a warning. NASCAR wants drivers to show emotion and self-police, but recent calls are making it harder for drivers to do that. NASCAR has drawn many different lines in the sand. Drivers are left wondering what will be penalized and what will be overlooked. This lack of consistency can be confusing and frustrating for drivers and fans alike. If drivers are afraid to show emotion or react to incidents, the sport could lose some of its excitement. NASCAR needs to find a balance between maintaining safety and allowing drivers to express themselves. They should consider a warning system or probation to handle minor incidents. This would give drivers a chance to learn from their mistakes without facing heavy fines right away. The current approach might make drivers too cautious, affecting the sport's dynamics. NASCAR's rules about spinning someone out can be confusing. It seems that if you want to spin someone out, it's okay as long as it's not too obvious and you do not admit it was on purpose. Sometimes, even if you do admit to it, they might look the other way. Hitting someone under caution is also sometimes allowed. You can rub doors with another car, but if you spin them out, you'll get in trouble. Hitting someone on the cool-down lap is generally okay too. However, doing this on pit road is a problem. Also, don't wedge someone into the wall unless the incident that made you mad happened less than an hour ago. Fining someone after the race is also allowed, if it's not premeditated. If both drivers just got out of their cars and are angry, it's seen as the heat of the moment. But if you got wrecked earlier and waited around to start something, you could face a fine of $75,000. These rules can be confusing. Drivers get angry in the moment, and fans want to see their raw emotions as long as it's not too dangerous or reckless. But with all these rules, drivers have a lot to think about. This is my main issue with the $50,000 fine for Bubba Wallace. A lighter penalty or some sort of probation or warning system might be better. If they simply say they do not like someone retaliating for an incident that happened 3 hours earlier, it would make more sense. The fine seems steep for something that happened much later after the race. NASCAR needs to find a balance. They want drivers to show emotion and handle minor incidents themselves, but they also need to keep the sport safe and fair. Clearer rules and more consistent penalties would help. This would make it easier for drivers to know what to expect. Bringing back probation or a warning system could be a good solution. This would give drivers a chance to correct their behavior without facing heavy fines immediately. It could also help NASCAR manage minor incidents better. Drivers and fans both want exciting races with fair rules. NASCAR officials need to communicate their decisions clearly. This would help drivers understand what's expected and build trust between them and NASCAR. NASCAR didn't like how hard Bubba Wallace put Bowman into the wall. Even though it's a street course, they were only going 20 miles an hour. Bubba Wallace shouldn't have run Bowman into the wall, and there are better ways to settle differences. Running into Bowman after the race does nothing to impact Bowman's race and can only damage Bubba's own car. This act seems foolish, but it's hard to see it as worthy of a $50,000 penalty. There are many examples of NASCAR letting similar incidents go. NASCAR has often turned a blind eye to borderline incidents. Dropping the hammer on Bubba Wallace is surprising. This fine has no real impact on the playoffs. Bubba Wallace is still 17th on the playoff grid. He likely needs to win one of the next few races to get into the postseason. People have mixed reactions to this altercation and the penalty. Some might think it's the right call, while others might question NASCAR's possible explanation. Setting new precedents like this can be confusing, and NASCAR needs to be clear about why they make these decisions. Now, whatever your opinions are, just write them down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more such updates. Until then, stay safe and keep exploring.